Welcome to One Word at a Time, Sophia Pilot into the universe of Chinese. Let's continue exploring some essential classical China era concepts. And I'm very happy of this big concepts we have been talking about ever since August, because each one of them still rings true. And if anything, it helps me further understand humans, because that's ancient people without today's technology. So it's like humans thousands of years ago without today's context of us in 2025, facing with all that technology, right? All that knowledge ever since I guess, the scientific revolutions to kind of discover things. Back then, almost like intuitively, how humans back then understand our humanness. And that's beautiful. That's close to my heart. Okay. Um, well, I made a mistake here. It's woo today or woo. Actually, sorry. Woo. You see here, I mark it right, but I made a mistake over here. So pardon me there. Woo. The fourth time we have the heart symbol in this character. Again, Chinese heart means both emotional and cognitive processing of us. And we regard, okay, we coined the concept of think, of a head and a heart connection there. But when we abstract into more human consciousness, we discard the head and just use heart, plug in a heart to represent the whole human operating system there. Okay, so heart on the left, and then the right side. Well, that's almost like a Chinese worldview planted over there, right there. Super simplified. The two icons there. This almost hourglass looking thing is a Chinese number five. How we express number five. It's almost like a mathematical. We have top, bottom, two horizontal lines that we can, say it symbolize heaven and earth. Okay, not heaven and hell, but heaven and earth. Chinese doesn't conceptualize the Christianity way. Okay, so heaven and earth, and then we have this cross, this X in the middle. Mathematically, if the distance on the top between the two line ends, the distance is the same as the bottom distance. Over here, I mean, it's a human drawn. It's a picture from a dictionary. So that human personally drawn there didn't measure and make it accurate, but it's supposed to have this length from A to B. Let's see, A, B, C, D. So if AB, the length, equal to CD, attached to heaven and earth, then the middle intersect point, when the two lines intersect, is going to be guaranteed to be right in the middle. Pure math and logic. I don't even know how many thousand years ago people conceptualize when it comes to number five, which is exactly half of our 10 fingers, right? Half of it. When we want to meet in the exact middle, cut things in half, then this is how mathematically make it sure it happens, make sure it's accurate. Okay, number five, almost, if we want to super simplify things, Chinese world model came down to yin and yang, that fish looking thing, black and white with a dot in the middle, right? The whole philosophy of how Chinese think, conceptualize how the world operates, boil down to that icon. And number five is kind of things are even, meet in the middle. And to Chinese philosophy, the best way to operate. So if our world can be boiled down to multiple dimensions, right? All kinds of levers and parameters. if we abstract things into that. Number 5 is that most likely to be that magic number. Say, okay, I'm recently into training myself, physical training, and so there is both this train and rest, two ends of things. One is being active, one is being inactive, positive and negative, right? And so the coach have to keep reminding me, don't overtrain. You need to do the rest part in good proportion to the training part so that you get the best result. So it's almost like a function of this curve thing. So you train up, right? And the effect gets to the top, and then you will drop after a certain amount. So the dynamic over there is like not train all the way up or rest all the way up is the ideal. It's somewhere in between. That's for the most case in any kind of dimensions, right? You don't want to go to the edge of a spectrum of something. You want to somewhere in the middle is the sweet spot in English, right? And Chinese kind of name it. Okay, that's the number 5, the middle way. You don't go too far at this way or that way. You practice the middle way. That's the best way. Okay, simplified and kind of generalized, but hold true for many, many occasions. Okay, number 5 on the top. Bottom is a mouse symbol. And even if it's a mouse symbol, and eventually I discover it's actually a food container. And these are the 2 handles on that pot. And because human dining is associated to that food cookware, and then eventually we use that cookware shape to represent dining, to represent mouse. And because humans, we're not only a diner, we eat, we consume, we're also output, we're speaker. So that's our output. This mouse symbol eventually just represents human individual, which is a consumption unit as those, and also an opinionated output unit. And so this mouse is another way to say this is a human there. Number 5, human, is a Chinese way to conceptualize self. We have a ton of different ways to say, to conceptualize the concept of self. And 5, mouse combination is one of them. And I think this wu, pronounced as wu, the third tone, that is no longer in popular use these days. It's an ancient text Chinese use wu to start with. Okay, this is my opinion. Okay, and I think the logic of the language there is we use number 5 plus this human consumption and production unit of the mouse symbol to show that to operate optimally, you kind of need to hit that number 5 sweet spot thing in between heaven and earth. And that's how you frame yourself. You're both one individual unit, but your whole life is to seeking that balance between yin and yang, heaven and earth, yourself and society, all kinds of dimensions. You want to find that sweet spot, that intersecting point in there. And that's, I guess, the lesson or the teaching or the biggest the secret in the universe about self, about our humanness in there. And that plus this human algorithm or processing together means aware. Just take a moment to let that sink in. Awareness is not easy. We're not born aware. Actually, on the contrary, we have to work so hard to learn about so many things, and eventually, through our lived experience, to be reflective, to kind of get out of our own head, to be self-aware. And this awareness, it's through the whole, the cultivation or education or the human growth is about building up our awareness. So that's Wu is a Chinese aware concept made of this self and heart together. Self's heart. That's awareness. Wu Xing. So we talked about Xing. It means nature, means character, the way, the essential, not about identity, because identity is some external societal forces to box you up into something. But Xing is a recognition of you have some essential, some essence, right? Essential characters or fundamental operating way. And that's your character. That's your nature. And when we say Wu, pair with the Xing, it means you have this awareness that's, we're talking about essential character of you in terms of your awareness or self-awareness. So Wu Xing is a Chinese compliment to people who have a good self-awareness to quickly reflect on something. It's almost like in today's machine learning training, it's like few shot learning, meaning give you just a few examples and you can be reflective and generalize that, quickly pin that down to learn something without being shown multiple times like a machine, right? I mean, in that way, machines are way dumber than humans. Humans can learn from very few examples, and then we can generalize and be good with it. Machines have to learn so many times. So that's Wu Xing. We really want to have a great Wu Xing, meaning we can be aware to learn about things with only few examples. The Chinese emphasize 举一反三, give you one example and you can come up with, like, apply it in 3 different scenarios. It all comes down to the same thing. So this deep thinking to boil down things to its essential way of working, and that's awareness. That's the nature of you. If you have that nature in you of that awareness, not everybody have the same type of or level of awareness, right? So that's a real compliment. I would be way more happy if people say you have good 悟性 than say, okay, you still look good or young. Like, that's appearance. That's really shallow. That's not big of a accomplishment. That's only saying like I'm taking good care of myself or something like that. But if I say somebody compliment me with, oh, you have good 悟性, that means your brain works well. Right? And that's the ultimate human to human compliment to me. Okay. 觉悟, 觉 means conscious and then aware. And 觉悟 simply means you finally get an epiphany about some thing's nature. Something you used to be blind about, something used to be in the dark, and all of a sudden you understand it, almost like suddenly, completely. So that's 觉悟. 感悟, 感 means sense, our sensor. So our, touch, vision, hearing, all that sensory signals plug in, and then you, through do and touch and try out and fall maybe, and then you come to awareness. So 感悟 means your lived experience supported awareness. It's your lived awareness. And that's something when I talk with ChatGPT, it said totally, it can get all the information, data out there available, but it will never have 感悟. It will never have this sensor-based awareness things. It's disembodied. It doesn't have our body. It doesn't have all the sensors we human biologically and evolutionarily already have. So it won't have 感悟, but this is a very human thing. And we need to value that much. All right, so this is awareness, and I put a ballerinas, because awareness is a really tough concept to express visually. And awareness here, I put this ballerina's footwork to show actually through this Wu, this awareness of space the awareness of our body in space, the awareness of our body movement in sync to music, all that. After years of training, and then you grow your awareness so good that you can express your internal rhythm or feeling, whatever, use your body movement through space. And that's a type of awareness. It's intentionally trained awareness, even if we may boil it down, diminish it to just skill. Ballet is a skill or talent at best, but really we can view it from the sense of awareness. Ballerinas, they have acute sense of their body, how to carry their body, and also acute awareness of how their body presented to the audience. They definitely orient themselves toward the audience, and they have upstage, downstage, all that positioning through the stage, because the whole time they've been training themselves to present, to angle themselves to the audience. So that all that is a very specific domain awareness, and I think it's the best I can capture what awareness means to me in both Chinese Wu and English awareness. All right, thank you very much for your time. See you next.